The church that takes John 13 seriously will reveal God's glory. The church that takes John 13 seriously will display God's grace. John is alerting us to what Christ says love is in these verses. I can do no better than to quote Pastor Paul David Tripp, who defined love as the willing self-sacrifice for the good of another that does not require reciprocity or the worthiness of the beloved. Jesus' love is a self-sacrificing, stooping, serving love to the very end. It's a love with activity. There are 8 participles in these first 5 verses here. Jesus is knowing and loving and laying down and taking up. And verse 3 says that Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power. So whatever happens next, Jesus is fully aware of who he is and what he possesses. He is the exalted Son of God possessing all power. So what is about to happen here is no tragedy. Don't call it a tragedy. What's happening here, according to the Apostle John, is glory. If I be lifted up, this is glory. This is a glory story. The cross is about glory. And it's about leveraging power for the flourishing of others. And so during supper, verse 2, Christ got up to do what should have already been done. You see, in that culture, foot washing was as common as brushing your teeth. And people had sandals, roads were dusty, Israel was arid, the summer was hot and dry, the winter was rainy and muddy, and you'd enter a home and you would take off your sandals there at the door, and there your feet would be washed. And one scholar explained it this way. It involved washing off not just dust and mud, but also the remains of human excrement, which was tipped out of houses into the streets, and animal waste, which was left on country roads and town streets. This task of hospitality to honor guests was normally assigned to slaves or servants of low status. So much so that foot washing was virtually synonymous with slavery. And so the disciples entered that upper room, reclined around a table. It was as if all 12 were waiting for the slave to show up to wash the feet. And then all of a sudden, one of those disciples, I wonder who the first was, I don't know. But one of those disciples felt the cool water splashing from the pitcher to the basin. They must have thought, well, it's about time. Look down, and there's Jesus. Peter protests. He protests. It's a double negative, meaning, Lord, you will not ever wash my feet. You'll never wash my feet. No. And Christ makes it plain. If I don't wash your feet, you have no share with me. That's the deal. In other words, if I don't wash you, you can just leave with Judas as far as I'm concerned. So, because you see, to refuse foot washing is to refuse the cross. And Jesus is clear. If I don't forgive you, you can't follow me. You need my grace. You must let me love you. You must let me cleanse you. You must let me sanctify you. I'm your only hope. I'm your only hope. You need me. And so when verse 12 tells us he'd washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, do you understand what I've done for you? These 12 were arguing about their greatness while Jesus was showcasing greatness. And so he interprets in verses 12 through 17 what he did in verses 1 through 11. If I washed your feet, you must wash the feet of others. Not if I wash your feet, now you need to wash my feet. No. He's saying, you treat others as I have treated you. Love others as I have loved you. What is not beneath my dignity is not beneath yours. We who have been served by Christ now live out a vocation of serving others. And we're not talking about some sentimental, smushy service. We're talking about rugged, gritty service that self-sacrifices for the good of others. A service that does not demand reciprocation. A service that does not mandate the worthiness of the beloved. God's power, God's love empowers us to love each other. And John 13 teaches us why God loans us power. He loans us power to leverage it for the sake of others.